this time, I introduce to you our valedictorian, Seibert.
Good evening, Mr. Brown, Mr. Boyd, the Board of Education, teachers, family, friends, our distinguished guests from the class of 1986, and especially my fellow classmates, the class of 2011. People often consider graduation as the beginning or the end, but I like to think that tonight is really more a celebration, somewhere in the middle, and I'd like to thank everyone who has joined us tonight to commemorate our successes. I'd also like to thank my parents for the pep talks and especially rough days, and for giving me a little push when I needed one. Thanks for all your advice over the years, but also for knowing when I needed to figure it out for myself. Thanks for reminding me to keep things in perspective, but also to dream big. I couldn't have asked for better parents. I would also like to thank my brother and sister, Stephen and Chrissy. You guys are pretty awesome siblings, and I'm really going to miss you next year. Alright, tonight we celebrate everything we've accomplished during our high school careers, and everything we have to look forward to in the future. We've survived countless tests and assignments, and all those super embarrassing situations that are the hallmark of high school. You know, the ones your friends will never let you forget, like the time that Chelsea wore the same sweater as Mr. Salisbury. Not only have we persevered and survived, but several of my classmates can already claim major achievements in the relatively short amount of time we spent here together in the Valley. In the spirit of tonight, as a celebration of our high school success, I would like to recognize a few of the outstanding achievements of a few of my classmates. The class of 2011 certainly has a lot to celebrate. Caitlin Adele is the 2011 Lakewood Area Junior Miss, and this spring she was a runner-up at the state level. Jamie and Jolene McMurdy have placed in several regional bicycle motocross or BMX competitions, and this year they have started competing at the national level. This past prom season, Caleb Banchino launched an initiative to provide prom dresses to local girls who cannot afford them, and had great success, collecting and distributing hundreds of gowns. In the 2010 Doodle for Google competition, Holly Harris became one of 2 state finalists, after she outcompeted over 30,000 other entries. Samantha Steiter's art was awarded Best Still Life in the Store All High Photo Show, in which 35 schools were represented. In addition to the CVCS music department, Cody Spinner's musical talent has been showcased in 9 different ensembles in the community. Andrea Washington is a valedictorian of her BOCES class. Several other seniors have made CVCS history. In athletics, Kurt Bogner, Robbie Glover, Josh Richter, Simeon Shulman, and Dalton Walsh were each players on the varsity boys basketball team, which advanced further in the playoffs this year than any other Cassadaga Valley boys basketball team. In golf, Brendan Wilcox was a member of the Section 6 New York State team, and Selena Erickson was the first CVCS student to win an FFA state championship this May. These accomplishments are impressive and remarkable, and this list is not exhaustive. I'm sure that the family and friends sitting in the audience are aware of numerous additional examples of extraordinary feats of my classmates that I may never know about. These accomplishments, ones that go unnoticed and unrecognized, are equally important and significant. Now I'd like to share 3 stories. They've each inspired me and taught me something about life, and collectively, I think they provide some good advice as we move forward in our lives, so I hope you take something valuable from them too. The first story, or possibly myth, is about Harry Houdini, arguably one of the most famous magicians of all time. While touring the major cities and towns of England, Houdini was often challenged to escape the city or town jail. Each time, he would enter the jail cell with only his street clothes, and a few moments later, he would emerge victorious. But there is one exception. Over the course of his travels, he visited a town called Preston, where, as usual, he was put into the town's jail cell. Outside, the crowd stood waiting for the magician to appear, but an hour passed, and still he could not free himself. Houdini tried desperately for hours to pick the lock without success. Exhausted, he finally collapsed against the door, which swung open. The door was never actually locked. It was only locked in the mind of Houdini. The fact that we are graduating today is evidence that we are educated. Like Houdini, we've acquired knowledge and a set of skills. But also like Houdini, we can be trapped by old habits and the failure to adapt to new situations. My second story is about a boy without any particular skill, who was able to impact the world by keeping his mind unlocked. One day, a wise old man was walking along the shore. As he looked down the beach, he saw a human figure, moving like a dancer. He smiled to himself, and as he got closer, he noticed that the figure was a young boy reaching down to the shore, picking up small objects and throwing them into the ocean. He came closer still and called out to the boy, "What are you doing?" The boy replied, "I'm throwing starfish into the ocean." The startled wise man asked him why, and the boy replied, "The sun is up and the tide is going out. If I don't throw them in, they'll die." After watching for several minutes, the wise man commented, "But young man, there are miles and miles of beach, and there are starfish along every mile. You can't possibly make a difference." At this, the young man bent down, picked up yet another starfish, and threw it into the ocean. As it met the water, he smiled and said, "I made a difference to that one." When you consider the two characters of the story, a young boy and a wise old man, you'd assume that the wise old man would be more likely to benefit his community and society. But the wise old man is like Houdini, imprisoned by conventional thinking, while the young boy refuses to accept society's definition of success. My third and final story is about a man who was born not too far from here, in Syracuse, New York. Like his mother and sisters, he suffered from dyslexia, so school was difficult, but he did not allow this obstacle to limit him. He turned to athletics, where he immediately excelled, particularly as a wrestler, and he aspired to become a professional athlete until a knee injury ended that dream. Even then, he did not lose his determination to find success. As a young adolescent, he joined a monastery with the hopes of becoming a priest, but after little more than a year, he realized the priesthood was not for him. Then he began performing at his high school musicals, and he discovered a passion for acting. He began performing, and at the age of 18, he moved to New York to pursue a career on stage. And within a few years, he had risen to become one of the highest paid actors in the world. Today, we know him as Tom Cruise. The path to success is not always straight. We'll face setbacks, obstacles, and we'll change our minds. But that doesn't mean we failed, unless we allow detours to deter us from continuing to pursue success. So I guess what I'm trying to say is that if you find yourself trapped somewhere, check the lock before you start freaking out. You may not be as trapped as you think. And if someday you're lucky enough to be walking down a beach and you find a stranded starfish, throw him back in the ocean. With an open mind, it may be easier to make a difference and tackle the impossible than at first appears. And finally, if school and sports and priesthood just don't work out for you, destiny is probably trying to tell you to be an actor, or something else great. So don't let that obstacle distract you, or something like that. I hope you get the idea. Congratulations, and I wish you all the best of luck.